Writing the biography of a con man who hit you with his car isn't all it's cracked up to be. That is, unless you happen to develop superpowers. We watched Big Gold Brick, our first movie of the year, today on Nothing Movies.
And if Spider shows up, the Portuguese bass player in my band, he's in here.
Okay.
So it shouldn't pick up. Like, his stuff is still low enough that you should be fine.
Okay.
That's who's coming in.
Okay. Yep, no worries.
It's good to know when Spider shows up.
What a name.
Yeah.
Of course he plays the bass,
Of course
too.
he's a bass player.
Yeah.
Naturally. He didn't even need to volunteer that information. I just assumed.
Yeah. My name's Spider. I'm like, I bet you play the bass.
I'm going to stop you
I'm
right
gonna
there.
peg you as a bass player.
If that's a choice you make, unless he was born with that name.
Most likely, yeah.
It might be like a Portuguese name that I'm not familiar with.
He was birthed on the back of a Harley Davidson.
Spider.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He might be a lovely person.
Oh no, I'm sure he is. No, I'm sure anyone who's named after like a deadly animal probably is a big softie. I had a babysitter growing up called King Cobra.
Really?
That's not true.
Oh, okay.
No, that's a fallacy.
I wish.
That would be great.
Very neglectful parasites.
It basically does,
This man looks trustworthy enough to look after our child.
Welcome back, however you wish to self-identify, to Nothing Movies, where we ask the question, the fuck is this? Welcome back to the second year of Nothing Movies. But the fifth year of the two of us
talking about movies.
Sitting in a room and recording ourselves talking about movies.
5
years. They said it couldn't be done.
They said it shouldn't be done.
They said we were mad. But look at us now.
They haven't stopped us yet.
They have tried. But this is the podcast where we go through an actor's filmography and we choose the most anonymous and culturally untalked about movies that they've made and decide whether or not they've got a certain something or if they're just a whole lot of nothing. My name is Kaz Lesgard.
And I'm Jameson Rafter.
And our first trilogy of the year, we're not focusing on an actor. We're not focusing on a director. We're not even focusing on a theme. I mean, we're kind of focusing on a theme.
It is kind of a theme.
It's a year, though. We're focusing on a year, and that year is the year we just finished, 2022.
You thought you were done with it.
No, we're digging that up. What better way to go forward than by looking back?
Kicking off 2023 by looking back at 2022.
That is correct. We're the only podcast to do this. No other podcast does this. This is a brand new thing. We've copyrighted it and trademarked it. Don't look into that though. Don't look that up. It's all above board. I've got the paper. I've got the paperwork right here.
Yep. All legally binding and everything.
That's paper. It's it's bound. It's bound together. So yes, our first our first trilogy of the year is the Nothing Movies of 2022. We are looking back on the films that were released in the year 2022, and we are focusing on the movies that have already been forgotten.
Yes.
That were forgotten about a week after they were released. Not a
year.
year.
You didn't even really know about it. I didn't ever know that these movies existed.
That's what we do. That's the whole purpose of this podcast that I have engineered and forced you into. That's our raison d'etre. And today we are going to kick things off by taking a look at the 2022 film Big Gold Brick, a movie that absolutely definitely tells you over the course of the movie why it is called Big Gold Brick. They definitely didn't release a movie and then offer up zero explanation within the film as to why it is called Big Gold Brick. Nope.
I mean, I think it's a pretty aptly named movie. Do you know what the term gold brick means?
Yeah, it means a poop.
No.
Oh, it doesn't?
No, it means something that looks good but is essentially useless. This is one of the more... Yeah.
Oh, okay, that actually is
and
kind
this
of
is
like...
one of the more pointless movies I think we've ever watched.
That's a weird... self-reflective kind of self-hating movie. If you're gonna name your movie that a title that ultimately means this is pointless, there was no reason for you to watch this.
And it's like, that holds up.
That's
I almost respect the movie for that.
That's very
but
apt.
It gives you a warning right at the start, like, hey, this is a whole lot of nothing.
We're jumping ahead.
Yeah. Not our whole lot of nothing, but like the movie is telling you all this stuff. It's like, hey guys, just a heads up. This thing's just a big gold brick.
For me, anyway, the term "big gold brick" makes me think of feces. I don't know what it is, and that's also
like
apt.
a golden poop emoji.
Yeah, or something like that. Oh man, how you doing in there? Oh man, I had enchiladas. I just laid a big gold brick.
Maybe you're thinking of the term gold bricking, which is basically just trying to find excuses not to do something. Which is,
I wish I could have gold bricked this fucking movie.
We had the power to veto this.
This movie that I chose. Yes, there were other movies on the docket, but I, in my infinite wisdom, said let's do this one first.
I mean, the poster makes it look halfway interesting. And what was that tagline at the top? Like a cerebral comedy?
That's one way to describe this movie.
Yeah.
Okay, I was just at a bit of a function before I came here today. A friend of mine is having a baby, so I was at a baby shower, and a couple of people, ex-guests of the podcast, were there, and other people who I've talked about the podcast before, and
wisely said no.
always interested to find out what I'm doing and what movies we're covering. And I said, like, well, I'm going to record an episode right after this. And they said, well, what's the movie about? And it took me a second. It took me like a good long minute to be all like,
You had to sit down and
well, what was that about? Oh God, it was a comedy fantasy with like a magic element to it. It's like a weird kind of shaggy dog story, but there's not really like a mystery involved in it. It wants to be Big Lebowski, but it comes off a little more like Southland Tales.
My mind was gravitating towards like, okay, is this like in the vein of Everything Everywhere All at Once, or maybe Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, or it's a very visually trippy, heady concept movie with, at its core, a really nice character drama. I thought maybe that's what it was going for.
Yeah, none of that.
No, God, no.
None
Fuck
of that
no.
to be found. But we'll get into that. But since we're on the subject of 2022, Jameson, outside of this podcast, was there any movies you watched in the year 2022? They could be movies from 2022, or they could be movies that you saw for the first time. What would you say was your best overall cinematic experience in 2022?
I mean, I really like the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah. I mean, that's a perfect example of a movie that comes out and is like instantly popular and gets all of the awards and the acclaim, and then you go to see it and it's all like, oh, it's not overhyped.
No,
it's actually really good.
Yeah, it absolutely lives up to the hype. It has such a broad scope, and it seems 5 different stories at the same time. And the way that it could have been handled exceptionally poorly, but they pulled it off. Yeah, everything has like I left that movie completely satisfied. It was fantastic. And I guess the other one that I liked, and like these are all the popular, well-known ones. I'm just a sucker for like those Rian Johnson mystery movies, like the Knives Out and Glass Onion. I like Glass Onion.
Oh, buddy, Glass Onion is so good. I've seen both those movies twice now, and God, knowing who the murderer is takes away absolutely no enjoyment from that movie.
It's funny because like I know they're based on the Agatha Christie movies, and
they're inspired.
Yeah, the Hercule Poirot movies, which I haven't really delved into that much. I might have to check them out if he's like tipping his hat to.
Well,
those,
I mean, it's
series.
Not necessarily like based on the Hercule Poirot stuff. It's just that trope.
Yeah.
Of like the charismatic, flamboyant detective and like a group of like big characters, and everyone gets into the same room together, and the detective is all like, I figured it out, here it is.
But I like the concept of like in the first movie, you know who the murderer is,
or you think you do,
but they're being set up, and so now the mystery is about unraveling this. You know, like usually a murder mystery is like, okay, here's the victim, here are the suspects. Let's follow some clues and whittle down the culprit. And same thing with Glass Onion. Yeah, you know, like
they pull the rug from out under you. They present the mystery up to a certain point that you think you understand,
and then, just when it gets overwhelming, okay, well now let's backtrack a little and and throw some curveballs at you, and then when that gets to a boiling point, okay, well now we have to resolve this thing. Yeah,
and then not to spoil either movie, but in both cases, the murderer turns out to be the most obvious person that you probably should have guessed from the very beginning.
Yeah.
I love how he plays with that. It was all like it introduces the characters and then it presents one character where it's all like, okay, this is obviously the red herring because there's no possible way they could be the murderer. And then by the end, it's all like, oh no, he was doing that on purpose.
I was right. Yeah. But it's still an entertaining ride.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we talked about that briefly when we were doing Final Score and we were talking about Dave Bautista and how he was coming up. He was going to be in Knives Out too. God, he's so good in that. He's so good.
Everyone's good in that.
Everyone's fantastic. Kate Hudson. I think the best performance is Janelle Monáe.
Oh, absolutely.
Because she has to play like 3 different roles. Like she's playing like the you know what, this is too much. There's some people who probably haven't seen Glass Onion. I don't want to give it away. It's on Netflix. You can watch it right now. Yeah, I mean, like, I am the sort of person who obsessively catalogs and ranks all of my movies on Letterboxd now. So yeah, I'm trying to narrow down like my top 10 of 2022. I'd say right now it's kind of like a dead heat between 2 particular movies. One that I really loved is the Tollywood film RRR.
Yeah, you talked about that before.
Which is on Netflix. Just look, it's a commitment. It is like a 3-hour plus movie, but like just like if you have Netflix, watch like the first 25 minutes of it. Watch like the first action set piece where the main character has to go and arrest one person within like a swarming crowd of like thousands of people. Just watch that and then remind yourself the movie gets fucking crazier from there.
Awesome.
Like, it's just the most insane fucking movie I've ever seen. And yeah, it's the biggest piece of Indian propaganda I've ever seen.
Sure.
And I really do not understand like the politics of it. So I've read some articles where it's all like, this movie may be slightly problematic in the way that it kind of deals with like Indian politics, but as a piece of entertainment, holy shit, hot damn, that is
okay. Yeah.
that is a hell of a movie.
It's on my list, and not to be...
I mean, you gotta find the time to do it.
Well, the other thing is, like, because it's such a long movie, I don't want to commit to reading subtitles the whole way. Is there, like, a dubbed version of it out there?
Possibly, probably. Yeah. I don't know.
Okay.
A lot of the movie is in English.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yes, because...
I mean, that's not like a...
Because it's about, like, the British rule in India and everything like that. And the bad guys are all British.
Yeah.
Bad guy is Ray Stevenson, if I haven't said that before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's, like, being in English is not a breaking point for me or anything, but, like, for something that long, it would be nice to help me along.
Sure, why not? And then another movie I really love that you would hate because it's entirely subtitled is the Iranian movie Holy Spider, which is not about a bass player. Which that joke now means I need to include that intro.
Yeah.
But no, I would kind of describe that one as like the Iranian Zodiac. It's about a serial killer. It's based on like an actual true serial killer in Iran who would murder sex workers and then tie them up in sheets, and he was called the Spider. And it's just like this dark true crime story with just like a fascinating performance from this guy. Very few like movies I have seen about this subject are from the perspective of the serial killer. So it's like half from his perspective, half of the female journalist who's trying to bring him down. And it's a lot like Zodiac if Jake Gyllenhaal constantly had to worry about getting raped every like 10 minutes because of course it's like a period Iranian movie. This woman's trying to like find the serial killer who's killing all the sex workers, but like every 10 minutes or so, if someone doesn't outright try to sexually assault her, they just coldly tell her you're not a person, you're not worth anything. And it's like it's a downer. It's a downer of a movie, but it was enthralling. I saw it in a festival setting, so like when you're at like a film festival, you're not in like movie theater seats. You're in seats that are like designed to have like an intermission so you can get up and like stretch your legs.
Okay.
So by the end of the movie, I developed just the most horrible leg cramp. And I had to watch the last 30 minutes of this movie standing from the back of the theater, and I was riveted. It didn't matter. I truly did not matter that I was like putting all of my weight on one leg. I'm just all like, this is great.
Yeah, okay.
This is a good movie.
It took your mind off your shitty leg?
Pretty much, yeah.
Huh.
It took my mind off my shitty life. No, I'm doing pretty, all things considered. Yeah, but you know what? 2022 overall, most people seem to agree, a pretty goddamn good year for movies. Like in terms of like art house stuff and big crowd pleasing blockbuster shit. Like it was the year of Top Gun Maverick, which was like way better than anyone figured.
Come to think of it, yeah, I really liked Maverick. Yeah.
Oh man, what a great fucking cinematic experience! I shelled out the big bucks for the D-Box experience.
Oh, that must have been great.
And like normally I try not to do that because normally it's all like, oh, they went over this way. Oh no, my seat's shaking or whatever.
It was nice to see an action movie that wasn't set on a green screen and wasn't full of CGI. Those were like actual.
They were in the cockpit.
Yep, those were actual jet flyers. Yeah.
These D-Box seats, man, it made you feel like you were in
awesome.
the cockpit. It was incredible. It was the best D-Box experience experience I've ever had. I don't know if I would do it for every movie, but like definitely, I think it was because I saw like a preview of it beforehand, and like the preview was in D-Box and like the seats. So I saw 10 minutes of it, and I turned to my boyfriend. I'm all like, we're doing that. That's like fun. That's like an entertainment. That's like an amusement park ride.
I really wanted to take my dad to that for Father's Day because he's like a big aviation guy, and I don't even know if like the first Top Gun is his favorite movie, but that opening scene is like bar none his favorite movie scene. I remember when I was a kid, we would just like watch the opening to Top Gun over and over again, and then I said like, hey, do you want to see the sequel? And he's like, it's so far removed from the first movie. The first movie's like kind of cheesy. I don't know. So like, come on, Dad, it'd be a nice father-son thing to do. He's like, no. He wound up going with my sisters, and I just had to take him out for dinner.
Jameson,
or something.
That movie was really good. We should have gone to that.
Yeah, thanks, Dad.
I love Maverick because early on in Maverick, John Hamm and the other guy like do like this PowerPoint presentation where they explain how cool the ending of the movie is going to be, and then the ending of the movie comes, and it's super fucking cool.
Yeah, it lived up to the hype.
That's what I enjoyed about that. But yeah, like films like Everything Everywhere All at Once was both like big hit with both critics and audiences. That was sort of like the breakout indie hit of the year, and it gave
kooky
like a
sci-fi movie about the multiverse and stuff that like could have collapsed on itself, but it's like so heartfelt. I loved it,
and it did, and
it's hilarious.
It did multiverse better than the movie that literally had the word multiverse in the title.
Yeah.
Like it did more things with that, and it made things more interesting. What else? I mean, like we're getting like really into like the arty things. There was Tar, which I'm sure you haven't seen. Another 3-hour movie.
No, I mean, like, you're more of a cinephile than I am. So, like, I'll be watching, like, the popular ones that everyone's talking about.
Right.
So.
Well, speaking of Tar, have you seen Avatar yet?
I haven't even seen the first Avatar.
Oh, wow.
Have I ever told you about, like, how, like...
You haven't seen... You don't know which way that water's going?
No.
Oh, wow.
Because, like...
Tell me the story.
Well, it's not even much of an interesting story, but when the first movie came out and like the big push was seeing it in the 3D theaters, it was like, this is a must-watch movie in the 3D theaters. I'm like, all right, fucking fine. I'll pay the extra whatever $15 to see it in the special theater. And every time that I went there, right up until the movie left the theaters, there was always a lineup. Like it was a true blockbuster in that it was always sold out. And I was like, well, shit, if this is the only way that I'm meant to see this movie, and
this was back in the day before.
This is like 2009 or whatever.
This was back in the day before like buying your tickets ahead of time was like the standard to do and everything like
that.
Sure,
I mean, I was still buying shit online, but it was like, okay, well, if this is the only way to see this movie and the universe is not allowing me to see this movie, then fuck it, I'll just never see this movie. If they re-release it in the 3D theaters, sure, I'll check it out. There was like this one Canada day I went to.
Which they did earlier this year.
And maybe I was in Japan at the time,
sure.
I don't know.
Good excuse.
Yeah. Like fucking, like I went to this one house party on Canada Day once and they had like a 3D TV and they were like, hey, we're going to watch Avatar. And I'm like, no, I got to see it in the 3D theater. The marketing told me I had to see it in 3D. So yeah, I didn't see the sequel. And anyways, from what I understand, I'm not missing much anyways.
No, I mean, and everyone and their mom is going to see it like 3 times anyway. So it's not, look, James Cameron doesn't need your money specifically.
No.
He's the king of the world.
Yeah, exactly.
He already has all of your money twice. It's pretty good though. It's
okay.
Pretty good. I liked it better than the first one. Because I saw it again because it got re-released this year, and I went with past guest and friend of the podcast, Stephen Beaver, because he loves Avatar. He's that dude who saw Avatar 3 times when it came out.
I
only saw it the one time.
He probably took my seat.
Probably. Yeah, he was the one that was kicking you out of there.
Yeah. The Batman came out.
The Batman also came out, yes. Talking about a movie that was fine.
Yeah, it's all right.
It's okay.
It's not my favorite Batman movie.
People are like really like going nuts for that, and I watched it. I'm all like, this is fine, but it's just very reductive of everything that I've seen before. Like I've seen this before. I've seen like this hard-boiled Batman from like the animated series or like the Telltale games and stuff like that. This isn't really new. This isn't like a new take on Batman.
It's kind of new for the movies, though. He's never really been like a true detective following up on a mystery.
Yeah.
I mean, one of my favorite movies is Seven, and this movie really reminded me of that. It was like incredible. It was a very dark, serial killer detective story. And I mean, like, it's not fantastic, but I love that Batmobile sequence. And true story, when I was in LA visiting my friend Zach, we went on the Warner Brothers studio tour, and we found like the whole Batman exhibit where they had all the old Batmobiles.
All of them.
Most of them. They had the Tim Burton one. They had the one.
Do they have the weird fucking Batman Forever Joel Schumacher one where it looks like
No.
a penis? Oh,
no, but they have the Tim Burton one. They have the motorcycle from Christopher Nolan's.
Nice.
They have the Zack Snyder one. The Bat Pod, yeah, the Zack Snyder one. I was not sold on like the Batman's Batmobile
I don't even remember what it looks like.
It just looked like a black Dodge Charger or something. But I'm gonna tell you this: in person, that car is fucking huge.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh, it's
Well,
massive.
it has to be bigger because it's not like a practical car. Like
Yeah.
it has to do all of like the stunts and everything
Yeah.
like that.
I mean, like, when I saw the trailer, I was like, that's kind of an unimpressive, just standard-looking car. But, like, yeah, in person, that thing's a fucking monster. So, yeah.
Speaking about Batman, an actor who had a particularly good year this year was Colin Farrell, who's been in a number of movies, including the very funny, very dark Banshees of Inisherin.
Yeah, I've been meaning to see that.
That's a very funny movie. That's a movie that's right up your alley.
Yeah.
But he's in that. He's also excellent as the Penguin.
Yeah.
He's excellent in a little art house movie that not a lot of people have seen called After Yang, which is really good. It's like a weird kind of like sci-fi type thing. Yeah, good year for him. I'm just trying to think of like the other like big like releases, but I don't know if we have to like mention all of them or anything like that. Jordan Peele's Nope was really good. I really love the hell out of that. Fans of horror had like a really good year. Ty West came out with 2 movies this year, which were both kind of like connected. X and then Pearl, which were these. He made this one movie about like a bunch of people making like a porn, like a porno, and then like these 2 old farmers start like chopping them up and killing them.
Yeah.
And him and actress Mia Goth had such a good time on that. As soon as that movie was like they didn't even like return the equipment. They just like decided, hey, what if we like wrote like a prequel to this like right now? And they stayed like an extra like 2 weeks and like filmed like this prequel movie, and it's even better than the first movie.
Huh.
Yeah, so just kind of like a minor little like cinematic miracle.
Yeah.
When that happened. Of course, the greatest movie of all time, the Bob's Burgers movies, came out this year.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, good year for movies. Spielberg is probably going to win his 3rd Oscar this year for The Fabelmans. The sweet little movie there. Yeah, good year for movies, and it's looking pretty bright for 2023. Sure, there's a lot of sequels and remakes coming out, but some of those sequels and remakes look pretty damn good. So as a cinema goer, I'm pretty excited.
All right, sweet.
Yeah, but we're not here to talk about that. We're not here to talk about good movies. We're here to
we're
talk
talking
about
Big Gold Brick.
just a real waste of time. So Big Gold Brick.
Mm-hmm.
It's written, produced, and directed by a guy named Brian Petsos. Or Pet Sauce. I have to imagine his name isn't Pet Sauce.
I hope not.
If it was, he had a rough childhood.
Mm-hmm.
Children can be cruel. Maybe he ran with it. Who knows?
Who knows?
Maybe he made it to like, hey, the sauce. Hey, how's it going? Squirt a little sauce on things.
Who else is in this? Who else is in charge of this? Who's responsible for this horse shit?
Brian Petsos, which is how I'm going to pronounce it. I'm not going to say Pet Sauce the entire time because that's demeaning. Now, I haven't done a lot of research on Brian Petsos, but just looking at his IMDb filmography, which is majority acting roles. This is his only film as a director. He has written and starred in another movie, which I will get to. But yeah, this is his first film directing. Without looking anything up about him, I can infer 2 things about him that I believe to be absolute truths. And I'm not going to follow this up. I just know for a fact that this is true.
And your opinion.
Not my opinion. This is the truth. You
Okay.
can
All right.
set your watch to it. Brian Petsos is a close personal friend of Oscar Isaac, and he is a close personal friend of Kristen Wiig, who is an executive producer on this movie. Because you go down his filmography, and his acting roles are primarily movies that he has starred in with those 2 actors.
Okay.
He is in the film Bridesmaids. He is in the film MacGruber.
Okay.
He is in the Kristen Wiig, Annette Bening Nothing movie Girl Most Likely, which may be a future episode. He's in a lot of short films with Oscar Isaac, including one that was nominated for the Academy Award for short film. And he's with both of those actors in the film that he wrote, which is a 2012 film called Revenge for Jolly, which is a movie about him. He plays the main character in that, who comes home and finds out that his dog has been murdered, and him and his cousin, who's played by Oscar Isaac, go on a roaring rampage of revenge with a trunk full of guns as they try
Isn't this John Wick?
This sounds like it sounds John Wick adjacent, but it's like if John Wick was like a stoner and also had like a friend with him
I see.
the entire time. But the
Oscar Isaac's in that?
Oscar Isaac is in that. Kristen Wiig is in that. The supporting cast of that movie includes, I'm bringing it up here, Elijah Wood, Adam Brody, Ryan Philippe, Garrett Dillahunt, Amy Simons, Kevin Corrigan, Gillian Jacobs, Bobby Moynihan. That's how many people are in this damn movie. That might be a future episode for us, too, if I can find that shit. The plot sounds better than this fucking movie, I'll tell you that much. It doesn't sound nearly as convoluted as...
So it's like it's a John Wick movie by way of a stoner comedy.
Look...
So I imagine like a lot of these supporting characters are just like the wacky characters that you would meet in a traditional stoner comedy.
Like, man, I haven't even seen a trailer. Just because a dog dies, I'm not going to go ahead and say that this is necessarily a John Wick adjacent movie.
Okay.
But it could be.
Okay.
I don't know. Every still image of it I see is someone holding a gun or someone like shouting at someone and having a gun in their hand. So maybe it's like an action comedy. I don't really know. But that's really all there is to say about Brian Pet Sauce.
Okay.
Oh,
but
God.
the sauce.
I did it again. The Sauce.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I'll just call him The Sauce from now on. The Sauce, he wrote and directed this movie. Obviously, this must have been like a passion project for him. He was really trying to say something with it.
Was he? I don't think so.
I don't know. But you look at the poster, and the big stars of this movie are the great and venerable Andy Garcia, who we will get to and we will talk to a little bit. Megan Fox, who is slowly starting to amass quite a few nothing movies of her own. And of course, his close personal friend, Oscar Isaac, who's also a producer on this movie and obviously wants his friend Brian Pet Sauce, the Sauce, to succeed because he keeps attaching himself to projects with him. So
yeah, I mean,
they're obviously pals.
Yeah, and at the very least, like, you know, Oscar Isaac is entertaining in this movie when he shows up.
He's maybe one of like the few entertaining
bright spots
things
in
about
this movie. Yeah.
He is unfortunately only in it for about 5 minutes.
Yeah, in one scene at like in the last 25 minutes of the movie.
When the film realizes, oh shit, we need like
a villain,
an
a plot.
antagonist,
Yeah.
maybe? Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on here.
Oh, fuck, yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about our first build actor here. Let's talk Garcia. Let's have some Garcia
Jesus
talk.
Christ. Outside of maybe the Ocean's 11 movies, I haven't seen him in any. I don't know. He's not really an actor on my radar.
Fair enough. I was going down his filmography yesterday because I wanted to highlight, you know, like the big Garcia movies, because I've always I have this theory that I think Ocean's 11 kind of grandfathered him into like a range of actors that beforehand he necessarily wasn't really a part of. Like, you think about that first Ocean's 11 movies, and it's kind of like the 4 hottest names in Hollywood: Clooney, Pitt, Damon, Julia Roberts, and that fifth name, naturally, who else but Andy Garcia, who wasn't really on their level, but like, he's a likable actor. People always enjoy it when he pops up in things. And I feel like Ocean's 11 in particular, less so the sequels, but like definitely that first Ocean's movie
elevated him
because he's on the poster. He's like third build on the poster. So people that had like this sort of like Pavlovian response where people are like, I guess Andy Garcia's a bigger deal than I'm giving him credit for.
Okay.
But you go down his filmography, I'd say he's got like 3 cornerstone movies: Ocean's 11, The Untouchables, and Godfather Part 3. Which he did get an Oscar nomination for.
Okay.
But all 3 of those movies, those are supporting parts. He has many leading roles, but going through his filmography, I kind of came to the light bulb realization: Andy Garcia may be like the patron saint of nothing movies.
Oh, really?
Because like a lot of like the starring roles and stuff that he did are just in movies that just did not go. That just like
no one's ever heard of.
Tried really hard.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, like, you'll come across things that have like a little bit of a following. Like he's in When a Man Loves a Woman with Meg Ryan. That movie's kind of more remembered for Meg Ryan, though. She's like the alcoholic in that. He's just like the supportive husband. But like, yeah, like he's
just a journeyman actor. Yeah.
And I won't go through his filmography because going through it last night, I realized, we could probably do a Garcia trilogy.
Sure.
So I'll save that for a while. But you know, he's a likable presence. In recent years, I feel like he has stepped into this zone where he's in a lot of movies that women and gay men are fans of. He's got like a small role in the Mamma Mia sequel. He's very well used in Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar, which if you haven't seen that, I've
never even heard of it.
That's a very funny movie.
Okay.
Also a Kristen Wiig movie.
Okay.
That's a really good comedy. I would say, do you like the movie Hot Rod?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're a fan of that, I like that movie because Barb and Star is kind of one of those comedies where it's all like, this movie is doing its own thing. This movie thinks its sense of humor is really funny, and it doesn't really care if you don't think its sense of humor is funny. So you watch it and you're kind of all like,
that's very hit or miss.
It is very hit or miss. It's a big risk, but the movie pays off.
Okay.
And I do think near the end, I was just killing myself laughing. Okay. And he just has like a little small cameo in that. Like he also weirdly pops up in the Kristen Wiig, Melissa McCarthy Ghostbusters. He's the mayor. Okay. He doesn't do or say anything funny, but again, I'm watching that terrible movie and I'm going all like, oh, it's nice to see Andy Garcia. Okay. It's nice that he got work. And this year, weirdly enough, he starred in, talk about like a nothing movie, he starred in a remake of Father of the Bride that I don't think anyone knows came out, because I think it got dumped on Hulu or something like that. But even that was weird too, because I think like the take on that was, what if we did Father of the Bride again, but the twist this time is that they're all Hispanic. And so I think it's all like, who's the number one Hispanic comedic actor we can get for this? Clearly, Andy Garcia. Yeah. So he's in this, and it's not particularly good.
Who else is in this movie? Because I have no opinion on Andy Garcia.
You have no opinion on Andy Garcia? Do you have thoughts on Megan Fox? Is this the first Fox flick we've covered?
We brought her up when we did that episode where we looked at trailers.
That's right.
She showed up in a couple of those.
God, that feels like 5 years ago.
Yeah, God. It almost was. I mean, the only things I've seen Megan Fox in are the first Transformers movie and that stint when she was on New Girl. And yeah, I watched New Girl. What of it? I relate way more to Nick Miller than I probably should.
Why is my towel still damp? Because it's not your towel. It's my towel, Schmidt. No, it's not your towel. Your towel's the red one.
I'll tell you this, pal. I've never used that. I do use that one every single day.
Oh, God.
You have been drying your junk with the same towel.
Intimate.
Are you out of your mind?
What do you mean am I...
How do you think this is your towel? Do you even wash it?
No, I don't wash the towel. The towel washes me. Who washes a towel?
You never wash.
You wash your towel?
You never wash the towel?
What am I gonna do? Wash the shower next? Wash a bar of soap? You gotta think here, pal.
I'm furious right now.
I get out of the damn shower, I'm clean as a damn baby, and I use the towel.
Let me ask you this. Have you been wearing my underpants?
Sometimes, yeah. Who cares? You guys don't wear each other's underpants, you're lying.
No.
We all wear each other's underwear.
I'm just going to say, she's not that strong of an actress. However, I like her as a person. I think she was right on the money when she called out Michael Bay and saying, like, look, these Transformers movies, I know they're not high art. I know I'm in it to just be the eye candy. I like the bluntness from her. I think she's a cool person.
Yeah. I always want to root for Megan Fox. She looks the way that she does, and as a result, she's constantly objectified in whatever movies she pops up in. I know there's obviously more to her than her stunning good looks.
She does a lot of charity work.
Very few movies tend to hit onto that, but she has occasionally done pretty good acting roles in certain things. She's not too bad in This Is 40. She's excellent in Jennifer's Body, which is a movie that completely got misjudged when it came out. And then you watch it now, and it's all like, oh, this is a lot smarter than anyone gave it credit for at the time.
Yeah.
I'm always rooting for Megan Fox.
Yeah.
That being said,
you're always pulling for Megan Fox?
I'm always pulling for that Fox. Masturbation. But that's what that meant, right?
Yeah, pulling. Yeah.
All right, cool, yeah. That being said, she's pretty bad in this movie.
Yeah.
She is not very good. She gives a pretty bad performance. But also, the script gives her absolutely nothing to work with.
She's one of many characters that seem pointless in this movie. There's absolutely no, like, why did she need to be in this movie?
Like a big gold brick, you might say.
You might say that, yeah.
Well, hey, you know what? We've talked around the subject long enough. Why don't we take a little break? And when we come back, we'll dive right into the meat of Big Gold Brick.
Yeah, see if we can mine some gold from this.
That's good. You've been sitting on that since we started.
I thought of it like while you were halfway through your Andy Garcia tirade.
Well, you had to think. Your mind had to go somewhere because I was saying nothing.
Yeah.
As the record will prove, as you at home have already determined.
I need to get like a pair of glasses that have like eyeballs painted on them, and I'll just like you talk for a bit, Kaz. I'll be right here. You have my undivided attention.
Which is perfect because, as everyone knows, podcasting is a visual medium. Okay. We'll come. We'll see you in a minute. Bye bye.
All right.
And we're back.
Hi everyone. For today's charity spot, I wanted to promote and commend the tireless and selfless work done by the volunteers of the Greater Vancouver Food Bank, who are the most recent recipients of the Burnaby Business Excellence Award for Not-for-Profit Organization of the Year. An institution of Vancouver, The GVFB was set up as a temporary relief to the hunger crisis in 1983, though the need for them still exists today. They receive no ongoing government funding and exist solely through the generosity of the public, their industry partners, and applicable grants. Each month, they provide healthy food to around 14,000 individuals and families in need across Vancouver, Burnaby, New Westminster, and the North Shore. In addition to supporting individuals and families experiencing food insecurity through direct distribution, they also provide food support to 118 community agency partners, including those in housing agencies, women and children's shelters, and after-school programs who in turn provide groceries, hot meals, and snacks to thousands of people, including those struggling with homelessness. If you would like to make a financial donation to the Greater Vancouver Food Bank, find ways to give through creative campaigns, or even volunteer at the organization, please visit their website at foodbank.bc.ca. Once again, that is foodbank.bc.ca. Here we are.
And here we are in the same place we were.
Mm-hmm.
What a twist.
We are. Like, what do you...
We are.
Where are you going with this?
We forgot to mention we're back in Podstream Studios.
Yes, we are.
First recording of the year, first episode of the year. It's nice to be back.
Yeah.
We haven't done it in a while. We are back because it's nice to be here, and we are back out of necessity because I have my microphone fell apart. I need to buy a new one, and I'm still without a laptop.
It's literally on its last leg.
It's literally on its last leg. It had 3 legs, now it only has 1. That is very true. Hey, 3 words for you.
Yeah.
Big gold brick.
What about it?
3 other words for you. Bad fucking movie. Not good.
No,
not good. Very
no.
bad. Did not enjoy it.
Yeah, not even at one point where I was like, oh, this is starting to turn. It's holding my interest, or like, maybe this is going to have some cool payoff. No, I can't think of...
I mostly kept watching just to see if, like, anything would eventually start making sense. Never did.
No.
Never did. Eventually explanations did come up, but they were always like the most obvious explanations that I kind of just like inferred was going to be what happened when they started, and so like nothing truly interesting is revealed about this movie at any point.
Yeah, it sets up certain things that have no payoff to them whatsoever and don't seem to matter or factor into the end result anyways.
I mean, now that I know what the term Big Gold Brick means,
yeah,
the movie honestly makes like a lot more sense.
Mm-hmm.
It does seem like he wrote a movie and it's just like, I'm gonna just fill this.
See how many suckers pay to see this.
See how many red herrings I can like stuff into here. Like how many characters can make it a point of bringing up a subject to the point where it's all like, okay, this will have significance later.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't.
Yeah, I kept noting things and I'm like, okay, so where's this gonna go? And I'm trying to get ahead of the movie.
The answer is nowhere.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's so fucking annoying.
So this movie ostensibly is about a drunken wastrel of a human being. He's ostensibly a writer. His name is Samuel. Mm-hmm. He is played by an actor named Emery Cohen in one of the worst performances I've ever seen.
Oh, you didn't like him in this?
This guy sucks.
Oh, yeah?
This is a terrible performance. Did you not find this?
As a bad actor, it wasn't mind-blowing or anything, but I haven't seen this guy in anything else. So.
Okay, let's before we dive into things, I'll give you a brief background on Emery Cohen. I believe he's a New York-based actor. There was like a 2-year period where Hollywood was kind of like debating whether or not it's all like, is this guy going to be a thing? Is this happening? Do we want more of this?
Yeah.
And then after
is this guy going to be the next Jonah Hill? Because I felt like this was a role that had Jonah Hill in mind.
Well, okay, so here's what's interesting. So he started like a bit of like a young actor. I don't know necessarily if he was like doing like child acting stuff, but he definitely was playing like very young people there at the beginning of his career. His 2 sort of like big breakout roles are he's in the Derek C. and France film The Place Beyond the Pines. He plays Bradley Cooper's son, I believe, in that, and that's sort of like this generational revenge type drama. Ryan Gosling plays like he rides a motorcycle in one of like those cages, you know, like the motorcycle cages at like the World's Fair or whatever. He's going around and stuff like that. So he has like a small role in that. He's pretty good. But then the role after that is he's in a film called Brooklyn, which was nominated for multiple Academy Awards, including Best Picture, but it's one of those Best Picture nominees where 2 years after it's nominated, everyone's immediately forgotten about it.
Sure, yeah.
No one ever talks about Brooklyn, even though it's a perfectly lovely little movie. It's Saoirse Ronan, who's always who's always like super cute and charming and everything. She's like, she's like a fine Irish lass, and she moves to Brooklyn and she meets Emery Cohen's like the Italian boy. Hey, how you doing? Oh, I love you, my Irish lass. But then she has to go back to Ireland and she meets the strapping and handsome Domhnall Gleeson. Oh, what's a girl to do, Jameson? Oh, I got a boy over here and I got a boy back home. And that's literally all that. It's the type of movie where your mom watches it and she goes, oh, that's nice. That's nice.
Yeah.
What's she gonna do? And then after that, everyone just decided, no, that's enough for him. And the thing is that like he was a good looking like early 20s actor. And then I feel like he kept aging and,
started putting on weight.
Not to be too mean about it, but yeah, got a little pudgy. And yeah, now he's, and this movie does him no favors because like he's constantly shot from like from below.
It's a very
his double chins are very prominent.
Yeah, it's a very unflattering look for the guy, and he's got like scraggly hair.
He looks terrible,
and he's dressed like a bum everywhere he goes.
He looks really bad.
But I guess he's kind of supposed to a degree. Like his life is falling apart. His girlfriend dumped him. He has an estranged father that he mentions, but like doesn't really fucking matter.
His mother died.
His landlord kicked him out, so he decides
he hasn't been paying rent for 5 months.
He hasn't been paying rent, so he packs his bag with a crumpled up suicide note and decides, as in a drunken stupor, he's going to hitch a shuttle bus to Rochester, New York, I believe it was Rochester.
Oh, okay. Which is that a place? Because here's the other thing about this movie is that it keeps introducing things with like specific names, but they're not like actual things.
Right.
There's lots of like fake products in this movie, and
Mm-hmm.
it was driving me crazy. So I don't know if Rochester actually is a place. Apologies if you live in Rochester and you're all like, fucking go Bruins or what? I don't know. Don't look at me like that. I don't know.
Yeah. But like, it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter. Nothing matters. None of this matters.
So he's walking on the side of the highway, and he gets hit by a car, and the driver happens to be Andy Garcia.
Floyd Devereaux. Pretty good character name.
Yeah, not too bad.
And he's driving the car, and he's eating what looks like yogurt, and I started to write down Andy Garcia eating yogurt, and then I stopped writing, and I was all like, it's not important for me to write down what he's eating. Oh, how foolish I was.
I mean,
because the movie is going to tell us.
Because they eventually explain it, but it doesn't fucking matter.
No, it truly doesn't matter. We're going to keep circling back to that statement.
Yeah,
that's the mission statement.
That's the phrase of the day. It doesn't matter.
None of this fucking matters. Yeah. So yeah, Samuel gets hit by Floyd. Over this opening sequence, we're treated to the opening credits in the smallest font I have ever seen.
Yeah.
That was so bizarre.
Minuscule, yeah.
It was so tiny.
And I was like, oh, is that because like they want you to pay attention to what's on, like what the visuals are? No,
there's nothing visually interesting going on. The opening credits are just like, the smallest font you can see.
And then the title card is in the biggest font.
Yes. and Floyd hits Sam with his car, and he gets out. He's all like, "Oh God, you're bleeding! Oh no!" And the music kicks in, and it's this like serious, sinister music, and the title scrolls across the thing in big letters, and it's like a big B and then a big I, and the music's going all like, "This is important." And I'm sitting here and I'm all like, I read the log line. I know this is a quote cerebral comedy,
whatever the fuck that's supposed to mean.
This immediately, I know this isn't the tone of the movie. This is making me think this is like a horror movie or something. But I know that the movie isn't going to be like this. So right off the bat, I'm on shaky ground with this movie.
Yeah.
I don't know what to believe.
Like, what do they mean by cerebral comedy? Is this going to be a comedy in the sense of it's a satire of something? Is it an absurdist art project here? I don't fucking know.
Samuel wakes up in the hospital. There's like this weird moment of like absurdist humor where Floyd is talking to the doctor, and the doctor lights up a cigarette. And Floyd understandably asks, like, you can smoke in here? And the doctor says, no, I'm afraid you can't. And then he continues to smoke, which is funny. It's weird when it happens at minute 6. Because I still don't know what the tone of this movie is. And spoiler alert, it's not that.
Yeah.
It's not like an absurdist, like SNL type movie where characters do and say things that don't make. Well, I mean, they do say things that don't make sense, but not in this tone.
Yeah. And it's like, is every character going to be quirky like this? No.
I mean, the movie thinks that they are.
I suppose. The main takeaway that I have with the meeting with the doctor is the doctor mentions that Sam's going to be okay, but he may never be like the same Samuel again because he suffered some brain trauma. They specifically say that he will have mood swings, confusion, or agitation.
All attributes that we saw him do before he got hit by the car.
Yeah.
It's like the whole opening sequence is him like just like screaming at the top of his lungs. He gets into an argument with like a pretzel man at one point and is all like, oh, he's not getting a pretzel. And then the next thing he's eating a pretzel. I'm like, well, what happened there? I don't know. Brian Pet Sauce didn't show us, so I don't know.
But like, this is telling me that because he's had some kind of brain trauma, this is going to be the movie's excuse for the occasional trippy visual stuff. Like some continuity errors or weird tripped out dream sequences, which it dips its toes into occasionally, but not enough to justify this as a trippy visual smorgasbord. Yeah.
Using that metaphor, I wouldn't say it dips its toes. I'd say it does a big ass fucking cannonball, because every time it starts doing like the trippy like imagery and stuff like that, it immediately calls attention.
Yeah.
It's all like, oh, what's happening? Oh, this is happening now. The Santa Claus dolls are talking to me. That's not a normal thing that should happen.
Yeah.
Isn't this strange?
Yeah, we'll get to that.
So Floyd brings Sam a bouquet of flowers, but don't worry.
Yeah, the very first thing he says is, hey, I'm not gay.
You know, a lot of people out there might frown upon a man giving another man some flowers, but you don't have to worry about it. I'm not sweet on men, nothing like that. I'm a family man, and I can assure you that I'm definitely a fan of the dames.
This now makes 2 movies we've reviewed in a row that feature gay panic in hospitals. It's weird. We're going for the trifecta.
God forbid you should show sympathy for a man in the hospital.
That he ran over.
Yeah.
It's a nice gesture, but it's all like, don't worry, I love the dames.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Andy Garcia, I'm straight as they come.
So, yeah, Floyd says to Sammy, so the doctor filled me in on your situation with your landlord. How?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I guess
apparently the doctor just like looked him up or something. Because
you can do that, I guess.
I suppose, but like,
he's got his permanent record.
Yeah, this guy from another city. Yeah, I guess he's had landlord troubles. So tell you what, how about I pay you to write my biography? You know, guy I just hit with my car, because that's a thing that happens.
Yeah, there's like a funny moment when Sam is coming to and he sees the dapper dressed Andy Garcia, and he does ask a question that I probably would ask if I was in the same situation. He looks at Floyd, he goes, "Are you the god?" And I did like that. Occasionally this movie does have some funny lines.
Occasionally.
Occasionally.
I mean, I wrote a few of them down, but
duper occasionally.
It's not enough to save this one.
No, not remotely.
God, no.
No, but
so yeah, he essentially adopts Samuel.
He strong arms him into moving into his house and
Yeah.
basically being the son he never had.
Yeah.
Even though he has a son.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's like this absolute stranger who he hit with his car, he's now just inviting him into his home and letting him stay there so he can, write a biography on this enigmatic character who I kept trying to predict, like, what's the hook? Like, what kind of mind games and manipulation is this guy going to play? Are there going to be some unreliable narrator kind of stuff going on here? What kind of psychological trap is this character putting Samuel in? It gets...
Once again,
yeah,
none of this matters.
None of it matters.
Yeah.
So he meets the family.
He meets the family. We drive down like an idyllic little street, and for some reason the camera focuses on an entirely CGI bird.
Yeah.
Did you notice that was fucking weird?
Mm-hmm.
Why did it do that?
I don't know.
Why did he need that? That must have cost so much money just for that one shot, and there was no reason for it.
No.
I know there are birds in the sky.
Yeah. How hard is it to train a bird?
I'm already aware of that. You don't even need to show the bird because the bird's not doing anything related to the plot. I can just assume that there are birds in the sky.
It was something that he wrote in the script, and you do not deviate from Pet Sauce's script.
So, yes, we do. We meet Floyd's family, and they're introduced in this obnoxious sort of Wes Anderson light sort of way where they each get sort of like this thing where like the music kicks in.
Yeah. You get a little vignette on what their life is like. We get Jacqueline, played by Megan Fox, who is this unfaithful trophy wife who, sleeps with guys at the law firm she works at.
It's Floyd's second wife, we find out, who's like 20 years his junior, or something like that. Maybe 30 years. I don't know. There's quite an age difference between those.
Absolutely,
two.
Yeah. We meet his son, who I presume he had with Megan Fox.
I think that's the inference there.
Yeah.
Who's my favorite character?
Eddie, who is a great premise for a character, but is sadly wasted. He is this little hellbound metalhead 8-year-old who's like killing animals and like setting fires and everything.
I liked him. I like this kid's.
Great.
I like this kid's performance. I like how like casual he is and everything. Like when he's just like hanging out next to his dad, he's just casually like smoking and drinking.
Yeah.
And Garcia's like, "What are you doing?" He's all like, "What? I don't know."
Yeah.
So like, do you want to die with your grandpa?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it's good. Yeah. It's a good performance.
He's got like black metal makeup on every once in a while.
Yeah.
He's a great character.
It is. It's the funniest performance, and of course, he's barely in it.
Yeah. And the other kid, the daughter, what's her name again?
I'll look it up, but she is
Lily,
who is played by Lucy Hale, who from Pretty Little Liars.
Yeah, she is this former music prodigy who is we're always told is a bit of a cokehead.
Yeah,
and that is never shown.
No, this as badly as the female characters are horribly written in this movie, but as paper thin as Megan Fox is written in this movie, this daughter is basically nothing.
Basically a prop.
She has this introduction where, during like the narration, Samuel is all like, she was like this world-class violinist, but she got into cocaine too much and she had this freak out, and we see her in like the middle of like a recital. She has the violin in her hands and then she smashes it on stage, which is very awkward because it's not like smashing a guitar. You really have to get
you got to lean down.
You gotta get low to the ground. You have to do that on purpose if you want to smash a guitar. So she smashes her violin and then like
storms off, and
she's like, I'm like, oh, all right, so like this is like this like punk rock like cocaine queen and everything that. And the dollops of time that this character is given in the movie, she's just a sweet, nice person.
Yeah, like nope, we never see her do coke.
No problem.
Yeah, we never see her
Absolutely
having any
no problems.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, none of these characters have a payoff in the movie. You know, like these are interesting ideas for characters, especially Eddie, and the movie does nothing with them. Right. They show up every once in a while to remind you that they're in the movie, but they have absolutely no agency. The whole movie is about Floyd and
Sam entirely. Yeah,
exactly. And like when they go over Floyd's life, and he just casually mentions that, like, okay, well, there's a couple of things that my family doesn't know about. Mostly that I've done some work from the military. And in my mind, I'm thinking, I'm trying to get ahead of this movie. I'm thinking, okay, so it's going to be revealed that he's like some kind of secret military scientist, and all these family members are actually like in on this grand experiment that they're going to be putting on this poor kid who's got like some brain trauma after getting hit with a car, and he's essentially their experiment prisoner, right? That would have been an interesting concept for this movie.
Or it's like a Black Widow type situation, and none of them are actually related. It's like a secret supercell type situation or anything. Nothing remotely that interesting.
No, not at all.
No. And of course, the issue with Lily is that they also try to strong-arm her into a romantic subplot with Samuel, even though these characters barely have any screen time together, and even less chemistry. Yeah. And so it's just like, you're right. She's just a prop. She's just a prop to like for the movie to discard and use whenever it wants, and it's gross, and it's and it would be the grossest thing in the movie, but we haven't talked about the film's sole black character, but we will get to that. we will get there. But yes, he moves in with the family. He starts like taking dictation. He started like taking notes. We forgot to mention that like not superseding. 2023 is the year that I have to stop using all these malpropisms. I have to use like the actual word for this. There is a wraparound sequence in which Samuel actually has written the book, which we should note is called With Bricks of Gold, which I assume is where we get the title, and that's why it's called Big Gold Brick. Now, why is the book called Of Bricks of Gold?
Never explained.
So, yes, there's that, yes.
Now, one thing that I thought was very interesting with this is that every one of these wraparound scenes is a different form of interview.
Yes, so that's like kind of interesting.
Yeah. And as this overall narration is happening in sequential order to the movie, I kept thinking, okay, so he's telling the same story, and sometimes it's like at a book lecture. Sometimes he's just recording the audiobook. There's this one time where he's like on a talk show set, which is the cheapest fucking talk show.
That's the shittiest looking set I've ever seen.
I mean, like
that was like someone's basement. That was like some Zoom bullshit.
Yeah, there's like flashy curtains hanging around everywhere, and like Canada has late night talk shows. There are talk show sets available, but
right,
yeah. I'll say this was like the movie has like some okay production values, but they really went cheap on the fucking talk show set.
Yeah, that was a huge afterthought.
Yeah, but because each one of these wraparound scenes are a different form of interview, I was again thinking, okay, because the talk show set is so fake looking, I'm thinking these aren't real. This is part of his psychotic break.
Me trying to get ahead of the movie, my assumption was that none of this was actually happening.
Yeah,
it was that it was going to be like he was in the hospital bed and he was imagining being like a successful writer. Or
what these actually are like, you know, we've revealed that he's actually like in a straitjacket, and it's like the doctor's interviewing him, and in his mind, no, he's actually promoting his book.
Yeah,
or
and
whatever.
and that's fucking hokey and whatever. But even that, the movie doesn't quite go to that.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. At least that's a fucking mind game that this
an
cerebral comedy
would
justify itself with. Yeah.
Is it called a cerebral comedy because he has brain damage?
That's the only explanation I can think of.
Probably.
Because it's not a smart movie. It's not a thinker.
He's starting to get like these headaches or like these manic episodes or whatever. He's starting to like see like weird things, like they all have dinner, and he looks down at his fork and he has like a tiny little salad fork, and he asks, why is my fork so small? And they're like, what? And then he looks at it and his fork is a regular size. And it's all like, okay, that's a great this is what I mean by this is a horrible performance. Because it like in any other situation it would be all like, oh, that's weird, I should clock that for later and maybe like think about this some more. Emery Cohen fucking sees that his fork is like a regular size. He's like like he practically like grabs his shirt collar and goes like he just everything he does is just like overacting to like the nth degree, and it's just this actor just like screaming his head off, and he's
overplaying like maybe some brain damage, I guess.
Sure, I mean,
know.
like it is tough because the movie does have him play a character who is losing his mind, but I don't know. There's just zero subtlety with this performance. But yeah, he starts hallucinating. There's a Santa Claus doll in his room that starts talking.
Yeah,
to him.
an out-of-season Santa Claus doll is just set up in the guest room, and eventually it starts talking to him.
With like weird human lips.
Yeah.
Like it looks like that like old cartoon.
The Clutch Cargo thing.
The Clutch Cargo thing. Yeah, it does. I was not happy about the human lip Santa Claus. I did not like that. Yeah, and that's like a weird thing that the movie throws in because it's in...
Because it's quirky.
Well, because it's in like the spare room that Floyd has set him up in, but later on he brings it up to Floyd and Floyd's like, yeah, I don't know why that's there. I don't even own that thing. It's not even Christmas.
No, fuck you, movie. Explain yourself.
You need to explain some shit, but like it truly doesn't. Like why?
Why did it have to be Santa Claus?
Why did it have to be Santa Claus? Why is there a scene later on in the movie where Sam, Floyd, and the son throw the Santa Claus into a fire, and Sam says like burn in hell, motherfucker, but he doesn't say it. It's like subtitled on like the screen. It's like all in like silence. Why did that happen?
I did browse the Wikipedia page and IMDb trivia just for like some kind of explanation from the director why just to justify yourself. There's nothing.
No, the IMDb trivia thing is basically non-existent. Like I think like a trivia thing was all like, this movie was released in May. It's like IMDb, that's not trivia.
Yeah.
You need to edit this so like a little bit better.
You know what? Like, you got me. It's a smarter movie than I'm realizing. Explain it to me because I'm a dumbass. Like, tell me what I'm supposed to be feeling.
Tell me
why is this the way that it is?
Why does Floyd have like a Napoleon fixation?
Yeah.
He has like a photo of Napoleon on the wall, and when Sam asks him, he gets like very serious. He says, "History has misjudged that man, and it's the biggest travesty I can think of." So I'm like, oh, that's interesting.
And he's like,
tell us more.
Yeah,
the movie never brings it up
I'm
again.
very concerned about my legacy. Like, okay, this is going to pay off somehow. And like, no. He gives him like a tape recorder, and he exchanges the tape. Oh, that's an old tape. Like, don't listen to that one. Okay, so eventually Sam's going to go back to that tape. We're going to peel the curtains a little bit on Floyd. No, that doesn't come back either.
Another thing that I wanted to bring up is this film's relationship to music. Now, this is really where the movie is kind of showing its budget. Because for the most part, the soundtrack of this movie is all classical music and opera, and it tries to give like an in-universe explanation to that Sam is like a big Beethoven fan, like he's fucking Alex from Clockwork Orange,
Right,
or
yeah.
some shit like that. But it's all like, okay, they wrote that in there because classical music, you don't have to, it's royalty free, you don't have to pay anything for it. So like almost every scene is scored to
royalty-free music.
And when you do that, it gives your movie sort of like this sophisticated air to it that this movie does not earn.
Yeah.
Like it none of the music fits. And it's not always classical music. Sometimes it's like
soft jazz.
Yeah, sometimes it's royalty-free
sometimes
bullshit jazz. And
Thelonious Monk shows up in this movie.
And it never fucking fits. It never fits the scene that it's in.
Yeah.
So you're always in a weird mood in whatever scene. Like if the scene is playing for comedy, the music betrays it.
It's so funny that they paint Sam as like this very cultured person who goes to watch old German expressionist
black and white
films. He's way into classical music, and this character just looks like, you know, straight out of the grunge era of the 90s.
Sure, and that's an archetype that exists. Someone who's more cultured than they appear on the outside.
I suppose.
Yeah, but
right.
it's
it's a weird tone.
It doesn't feel diegetic to the movie. It feels very much. It
feels forced.
Well, it feels like that fucking talk show set. It's the movie showing how cheap it is and how it's counting its pennies.
Yeah.
By saying it's all like, well, we didn't have to hire a composer, so we just do this.
So oh, go on.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say it's revealed that Sam's father is like the founder of this ice cream company. Uncle Pete's Custard or whatever.
Uncle Pete's Frozen Custard.
Yeah.
And the movie makes a point of saying it's not quite ice cream because they use egg yolks.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a very sore subject for Samuel because he didn't want to go into the family business, and that's what caused the strain to his father. And Floyd was like, well, it just so happens that I have a strained relationship with my father as well. Here, I'll show you. And here he is, like comatose in a hospital bed. And which is like a weird scene that I suppose was meant to make us, you know, see that these two guys can relate to each other. But it's also revealed that Floyd paid off an orderly to let him go see a corpse. So now we're getting into a territory of like, okay, so Floyd's an unreliable narrator. He's a manipulator. Let's see where they go with this.
Yeah. I mean, spoilers for the end of the movie. The big reveal is that he's just a flim-flam man.
He's a con artist.
He's a con artist, and yeah, and it's like, oh, okay. And that's not even like a big reveal. Like, it's more or less like confirmed when he hands the orderly like $50, and it's all like, oh, okay.
Yeah, comes a little too early. Yeah.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, I did like. We keep seeing scenes of Floyd going to work where he's getting up in a suit and tie and, or just a dress shirt and tie rather. And he keeps going to like this one facility, talking to security guard. You get the feeling that, okay, so he's like some kind of important figure in this. And then it reveals like, no, he's just a fellow security guard who has to check in.
And that's not even a big reveal.
Yeah.
It kind of just comes out of nowhere. It's almost like the movie forgets that was supposed to be a reveal. Because, there's that big, long, extended scene where it's just the music. We don't hear what he's saying to the security guard, but it holds on that scene for longer than it should. So it's all like, okay, the movie's withholding information for me, and I'm supposed to figure this out. And then there's just like a random scene where he's at a bar with his security guard buddy, and I'm just like, oh, he's a security guard.
Yeah.
Was I supposed to know that?
Yeah, this is the big reveal?
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay. I guess he's a security guard after all. Okay, great.
So it's all like the movie is gradually letting us know, okay, Floyd's not who he says he is. But that's supposed to be like this big... We should find that out when Sam finds that out.
Exactly, yeah.
But we're ahead of Sam, and what's weird is Sam is the narrator.
Yeah.
So we're ahead of the knowledge, but he's also telling the story after the fact.
It's a cerebral comedy.
It's cerebral.
Joke's on you.
It truly is. The joke is on me because I watched
we watched
this
on your recommendation.
So what we didn't mention is that, again, trying to tie importance into things that ultimately are proven to have no point whatsoever, Floyd makes a big point of bringing up that when he hit Sam with his car, he was enjoying a pint of Uncle Frank's frozen custard. And he's all like, this must mean something. The universe is trying to tell us something.
Yeah, and
it's not.
I'm just like,
it's truly
does
not.
it?
Yeah.
Like, is it?
But it just keeps coming back to like this fake custard product. There's like other things it keeps bringing up. There's a brand of fake beer that they keep drinking, and they keep mentioning it by name or something. Floyd asks for like a clearly fake cocktail at one point, and it's just all like, just say fucking Budweiser. I know you have to like pay for like sponsorship or just say a beer.
Yeah.
You don't have to call it Skittlebrow or whatever.
I mean,
I
I get the need, and maybe for the sake of it, like making up fake products for a movie. They don't have to necessarily have like this grand tie into the entire story, unless like it's important to the story. But the brand of the ice cream turns out doesn't fucking matter.
No.
Turns out the brand of beer doesn't really matter.
No, it really doesn't. They keep tying it to certain characters, but ultimately, it has no effect on the story.
Here, like, I got you a drink. Like, what is this? Oh, that's Falkenheisen. Like, it's a German. It's a good German stout or whatever the fuck. And
it's put hair on your chest. Is that going to be important later? Maybe.
Is this like a weird product placement for a product that doesn't exist?
I mean, like, Tarantino always sneaks like red apple cigarettes into all of his movies or whatever, but he never has like someone go, I love red apple cigarettes. Like, they're always just in the background.
And the way that they keep bringing it up, I was like, oh, so is this like actually some weird hallucinogenic drug that they're going to keep this guy in their home? No.
Nothing matters.
Nothing fucking matters in this.
Nothing matters.
So, so Floyd takes a detour to the local high school where he keeps hyping up how high school basketball is like the number one sport in town.
It's the purest form of basketball.
It is, yeah.
High school basketball is a very big deal around here. Very big deal. You a basketball fan?
Yeah, sure. Pros.
Pros. There's no purity in professional basketball. There's barely any in college. High school basketball is where the game is really played. At its essence.
The pros have no integrity. Like, even college basketball has lost its way, but high school basketball, that's where it's at.
That's where the real game is played.
So we are kind of introduced to the character of Lenton Beans Washington, the star basketball player of.
Is his name? Wait, his name is Lenton?
Lenton Beans, yeah.
Fuck off.
Yeah.
I thought his name was Lentil Beans.
Well,
I literally thought this character's name was Lentil Beans Washington.
I thought so too, but I opened up the Amazon.
Lenton? Is that a name? You know what? I don't want to.
Who cares?
I don't want to offend anyone.
I mean,
that might be a name.
If his name was Lentil, then like the nickname Beans makes sense.
Well, yeah, because I was writing down as all like, this seems vaguely racist. Like, there's one like black character with dialogue in this movie, and he doesn't even get like a person name. It's like naming him Cornbread.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's all like, that's not. You can't give him like a regular name. I guess they did. I guess. But fuck, I have like pages of notes where I wrote down lentil beans.
Well, you can still use them. I don't care.
No, I gotta throw it all out now. Fuck, this changes everything.
Fuck you, Jameson. You ruined the bit.
Fucking Lenton bean. That pisses me off. I don't know why. You know what? I'm more pissed off now. Have the courage to name your character Lentil Beans. Movie. I'm sorry.
You told me that you wrote like 5 pages of notes. How many of those pages are just like
it's
lentil
just
beans?
Lentil. I just have lots of thoughts on lentil beans. Fucking Lentil Beans Washington. Shit.
Okay. So yeah, they go and watch a closed practice. The coach calls Floyd a jag-off, and then in a sequence that was funny but didn't fucking really amount to anything. It just shows you that the coach hates Floyd.
What the fuck do you think you're doing in here? This is a close practice, you jag-off.
It's also a Catholic school, Greg. One that I pay an exorbitant amount of tuition for, I might add. Jag off.
Get the fuck out of here, Floyd, you fucking jag-ass. Throw that away.
And after they leave, Samuel passes out. I don't know what he has like a seizure or something.
But before that, he sees once again we see a scene of Floyd talking to someone, and we don't know what they're saying. Mm-hmm. So it's all like, oh, okay, the movie's keeping things from us. Mm-hmm. This will be revealed earlier, and this surely won't be the most obvious explanation of what's going on. It is basically what's happened is Floyd has paid Lenton. He has bribed him to throw the next game because he has bet a bunch of money on it, and yes, we see him in the bar later after Lenton has thrown the game, and Floyd is
celebrating
happy,
and everything,
jumping up and down, and he's like, yeah, it's all like, oh, okay, so I'm not ahead of this movie. I'm just on this. I just understand what's going on.
Yeah, this is,
and it's not interesting.
Yeah, it's not as big a conspiracy as I thought it was.
No.
Yeah. At this point in the movie, Jacqueline tries to seduce Sam.
For reasons?
The reason is to get Megan Fox in lingerie.
Well, and also to give Megan Fox, like, another scene where she has dialogue. Because without this, she'd be in the movie for, like, maybe 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, they really don't give her anything to do. But, like, this role, like, she's a bit of a nymphomaniac, obviously. She enjoys having sex outside of her marriage. Sure, there's comedy you can mine from that.
Sure, yeah.
You need to cast, like, a comedic actress. I kind of hate to say it, Brian Petsauce, but like, you're friends with Kristen Wiig. Someone like
she could play the unfaithful trophy
someone
wife in her
like
fucking
that probably
sleep.
would have killed that. But like, the thing is that Megan Fox isn't an inherently comedic actress, so she just appears bored throughout this seduction. And it's like, and it's not helped by the fact that Sam looks fucking gross. He's a gross looking dude. Like, he's constantly sweating. And
her fucking boy toys at the law firm are, like, that's her cup of tea right there. Like, why she need to fool around on that? Is it just because of the nymphomania?
Or does she
did she just not want to sleep with her fucking husband?
I mean, there's clearly a lot of animosity going on between I forgot Megan Fox.
Jacqueline.
Between Jacqueline and Floyd, they obviously have some marital tiffs going on or whatever. So, she might be like sleep. And also, it is revealed naturally that Andy Garcia also has a mistress as well.
Yeah.
Gumar.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he is an Italian actor.
Yeah.
Wait, no, is he?
Garcia?
I think maybe I just got confused because he was in The Godfather. I don't think he is Italian. Now I have to look that up.
Now you gotta look it up.
I have to look that up.
All right. Well, Sam turns down Megan Fox's advances, which would never happen to a fucking guy like him, saying that, look, no, Floyd's like a father to me. And she's like, oh, let me guess, you're really into Lily. She drops the line again that Lily's a cokehead. We never fucking... Yeah. We're gonna have to take her word for it. She leaves, and then we have the fucking weird-ass dream sequence.
Andy Garcia is Cuban.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yes.
Cool. Well, all right.
Cool. I don't know. I just had to go back to that. I don't know.
So
fucking nightmare dream sequence.
Yeah, which I thought this movie would have a lot more of in like a cerebral comedy like this.
This is kind of the most cerebral thing that happens.
Yeah.
In the movie, and I think actually this is one of the few things in the movie that isn't entirely pointless. Because it brings us to, it's confusing the way the movie lays it out, but it is sort of the soft introduction to the idea that
Sam has superpowers.
Sam now has superpowers.
All right.
Just if you are still following us at this point, now the movie is adding a magic fucking element to the plot.
So, I mean, I just wrote down the dream sequence verbatim for what happens.
Sure, go into it.
Okay. Dream sequence. Sam finds himself in a grocery store. He's pushing a shopping cart. There is a photograph of him as a child in the wheel of the shopping cart. Lily is in the grocery store. And then the Grim Reaper with lightning eyes shows up, and he chases Sam into the cooler, which turns out to be space. He falls from space, lands on a bench overlooking a beach. He sees himself as a fisherman fishing off the beach, and then a meteor hits the beach, and it turns out that it is Sam's burnt up corpse that fell to earth, and then he opens his eyes and lightning shoots out of him, and then he wakes up. That's the dream sequence.
And then he wakes up, but then when he's in the room, he looks at a framed photograph which is copying the fisherman, and has a caption that says, "I'm sorry," which is what
the
Sam
fisherman said
to himself in the dream sequence. Just saying it right now, like, my fucking brain hurts.
Yeah.
But like, the more he and like, he's back in reality, and then he looks at the photograph, and then somehow, like, lightning shoots out of some orifice or whatever, and he burns the photo off of the ground. And I'm so confused at this point. I'm like, am I still in the dream sequence? And only eventually, a little bit later, do we realize, no, okay, now this is reality for some reason.
Yeah.
So he goes to Floyd. Floyd does this thing again. He brings up an object. It's all like, will this have significance? Kind of, not really. He shows like an antique penny.
Yeah, it was a priceless antique penny that would be worth thousands today had Lily not drawn like a heart on it, and even drops a line like, "Oh, now it's priceless to me,"
which is kind
Sweet.
of a nice moment. It's like the one time the movie's kind of all like, kind of nice.
Yeah.
If this was in a different movie, that would be a nice line.
Also, if any of that were fucking true.
Right. And for some reason, Floyd has the wherewithal to say to Sam, okay, I want you to count down to 6, and then after you're done counting down to 6, focus all of your energy on the penny. And then, I shit you not, listeners, a tiny little storm cloud materializes out of nowhere.
And strikes the penny.
And a tiny little bolt of lightning strikes the penny, and it vaporizes. And this priceless object that Floyd just pointed out has vaporized in front of him, and he is ecstatic. He is so freaking stoked.
Yeah.
That like this guy that he met like a couple of days ago now has superpowers.
Yeah.
Why is he excited about this?
I don't know.
What is his
shit? If he
where is he starting off from? Like, how is he aware of?
Like holy shit.
What is his relationship to like the occult or
I don't
like
know.
magic or
I mean,
anything like that?
Hey, if my idea from earlier, if he was like an ex-military scientist doing experiments on,
Yes, that would make
sense. Yeah,
that would make more sense in this situation.
No, he's just like fucking Mr. Glass. He's aware of like superpowers that are out there.
The children call him Mr. Glass.
Yeah.
Senior Glass.
Senior Glass.
But now I'm sitting here. I'm going all like, oh, is this what this movie is going to be about? Sam immediately goes, I'm never doing that again. Don't
It's
ask
not a
me to
gift,
do
it's
that
a
again.
curse.
I'm
Like
not
that
doing it again.
cliche.
And Floyd goes, okay.
Yeah.
And they don't bring it up until the end of the movie.
Holy shit. Around this time, like, Sam says, I can't work on your book right now. Floyd says, like, that's fine. He's like, does he not care that, like, this biography that he wants to get made isn't getting made? He's just paying this guy to stay in his house at one point.
There have also
And also people bring up, like, how's the biography coming? So that is genuinely a real thing that's meant to be happening in this movie.
And we know it happens because there's the damn wraparound. So we know Sam eventually does write the book if at that point we haven't already inferred that maybe he didn't write the book because maybe he's an unreliable narrator. Turns out, no, in fact, he wrote the book.
Yeah.
And he called it something that doesn't make any sense. Also, at this point, there have been plenty of hints that have been dropped throughout the movie up until this point that while Floyd lives in a really nice looking house, he maybe doesn't have the cash that he says that he does, because there's like little hints. He promises Sam like a stipend of like $500 a week, and the first time he goes to collect, he only has $200. He's all like, put the rest of it on my tab. I'll get it to you later. There's like a scene when they're at like dinner and they have like a housemaid and everything like that, where everyone's sitting around like, oh, this is like a nice dining room table, and then it looks like they're eating like macaroni and cheese that it looks like something I would make, and I'm all like, that's kind of odd. That doesn't look like rich people food. So, yeah, it's kind of like the movie's somewhat sly way of inferring ahead of time.
Yeah, somebody's lying.
That Floyd isn't who he says he is, but also the movie is terrible at sort of like revealing like this big twist.
Or like what the big payoff to all that really is.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just have to pick up on that yourself. Yeah, at this point, Sam is spiraling. You know, he's yelling at Lily. He's like, he's talking about like the Santa Claus doll that's talking to him.
We
everything.
should note that Floyd finds the penny at the edge of the driveway.
Yeah, the lightning strike doesn't so much destroy things as it teleports them.
Yes, it's a teleport type system.
Right.
Yes, and it's a very weird thing for a movie to bring up in the middle of the plot and then immediately forget about until the end of the thing. But just so you know, we just want you to know, viewer, that this guy has superpowers. Don't worry about it, though. It's not that important, but just letting you know, he can control shit with his mind.
There you go.
Moving on.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. None of this matters.
Yeah.
What's happening
Let's
here?
see. Oh Jesus! This movie is pretty dense of like all the shit that goes on in it.
Like I wrote so many notes just because like every like 20 minutes like a new plot element is. Have we gotten to Oscar Isaac yet?
No.
I feel like
like
are we almost there?
Well, let me just say they go to a restaurant where they meet Floyd's mistress.
Yes.
They run into Megan Fox on a date, and her boyfriend is like a whiny douche.
It's another scene that goes nowhere. It just shows us that they're both sleeping around with other people.
I mean, it kind of makes sense that she was, flirting with Samuel at this point, because I guess she's into
wimpy guys.
Yeah,
because this guy she's with is like a real Poindexter.
Yeah.
I don't know what to infer from that. It's just it's one of like a handful of scenes Megan Fox is in, so I guess we have to bring it up.
Yeah. Oh, and then fucking Sam just goes to a library because.
Well,
Lily mentions that she's always going to the library, so he just goes to the library and apologizes to her for yelling at her, and that's it.
I guess that was meant to be like, this is like the real romance of
the budding relationship.
Because he saw that like the romance between Floyd and his wife wasn't real, and like they have all like this like venom towards them and everything like that. So it's all like, maybe I should like go and apologize. And this is where like the real romance will start happening. Except these aren't characters, and they don't appear to like each other all that much. So yeah, it's really nothing.
Yeah, but. We're getting close to the Oscar Isaac stuff.
Okay.
So
Lenton Beans Washington is enjoying some Uncle Floyd's custard. Fucking
Yep.
Gag me with a spoon.
Yeah.
Fucking, oh my God, I can't
Yep.
believe. There's like a storefront of this fucking thing. Yeah, so like, Sam's dad owns this company, and he hates him. Like, he would have inherited the company, but he doesn't want to work for the man.
Yeah.
Or some obnoxious
He's
shit
a
like
writer.
that. So like these
His truth is through the pen.
These besooted gentlemen come
bunch
up
of goons, including a caveman.
including a fucking Geico caveman. I shit you not. There is like a bunch of goons, and for no fucking reason, one of them is a Cro-Magnon with the hairy hands and the unibrow
and the shaggy hair.
and he doesn't talk, he just grunts.
And he hunches over everywhere. Yeah.
And why is this a character in the movie? No reason.
No explanation.
No real reason.
Nope.
No explanation. It's just a thing that they decided to add.
Yeah, the script literally probably says like 3 goons, one of whom is a caveman.
Yep. So these besooted gentlemen come up to Beans and
They abduct him.
They say they get him to go with them under the
we're scouts.
under the
We're pro
inference,
scouts.
yeah, that they're gonna offer him like a college scholarship or whatever. So this one black character gets into a car filled with white dudes, and they
And a caveman.
and a caveman, and they beat the shit out of him, strip him of all of his clothes, stop just short of fucking lynching him, and then they leave him on the side of the road. And of course, it's played for laughs.
Yeah.
Of course, this is meant to be a funny scene. Of course, no one fucking thought this through before they filmed it and shot it. It was atrocious. I couldn't believe it was fucking happening. And while I was watching it, I was under the assumption that his name was Lentil Beans. So it was all much more worse. This poor fucking guy. He doesn't even get a
He can't
name.
catch a break.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He calls up Floyd and says they made him talk. They know that there is a betting scam going on. So they just a heads up that these goons are going to be coming for you next. And they do. And Floyd says, like, well, if you're going to abduct me, can you bring my biographer along? He's kind of shadowing me around everywhere. He's like, don't endanger this poor guy. But yeah, like the goons abduct him. And they take him to Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters. And here we meet like the...
It's just a nice mansion.
It's
Not to confuse you at home. They don't bring him to a superhero school filled with mute, which would make sense because now he has superpowers.
Well, I think that literally is the castle that they shot all those exterior scenes. Maybe in their interior
This
ones.
was filmed in Toronto, which I think X-Men filmed a bit there, so it might be the same.
I think so. I don't know. It's a very recognizable castle. You see this in a lot of movies.
Okay,
yeah.
fair enough.
So we meet like the eccentric, rich Oscar Isaac character, Anselm Vogelvie.
Vogelvide, who we find out in a line of dialogue is distantly related to the film director that Sam went to see in that brief scene, the black and white movie. Now, Kaz, you may be asking, does that factoid tie itself back into the plot in any significant way? And I would say, oh, you sweet summer child, this is Big Gold Brick.
Yeah.
None of this shit matters. But it's like, why the fuck? Why did they include a scene where he goes to see a black and white movie only for it to be all like, oh, is he related to that guy? And he's all like, distantly. He's all like, is that going to be a thing? Not at all.
And
We're not going to bring it up.
His family fucking like owns the brewery the fake movie prop beer is
Right.
from.
Oh, is that important?
Yeah. That's how he made his millions or whatever.
Oh my God. It's just all so pointless.
Yeah, and it's a strange, eccentric, rich guy. So he has a kid who's dressed up as Mozart playing the piano.
I mean,
he has a robot.
Yep.
That doesn't really factor
It's
anything.
a real Rocky IV type situation.
Yeah, he
He's
says
just got-
"Happy birthday, Polly," and
He's
then
just got
leaves.
like he's just got a random robot going around. Robot doesn't do anything. It's just there. Oscar Isaac's having fun with this.
All that said, Oscar Isaac is probably the best part of this movie.
He's doing a voice that's kind of like halfway between Peter Sellers and Boris Karloff. He's like, hello, Floyd. Yes, you're going to get my money.
A very
for me,
soft-spoken German
Yeah.
accent.
See, this is a perfect example of Oscar Isaac is playing this eccentric, over-the-top character, but he's underplaying it.
Yeah.
As opposed to Emery Cohen, who like every scene is going like wow, 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 and it's all like this is a perfect example of how to do this versus how not to do this.
One character is overacting everything, and the other one is underacting everything. But yeah, he's got the one leg brace, so he walks with a limp. He has has these glasses where one is like shaded gold.
I think the inference there is he only has one eye.
Yeah.
I see those sometimes too. Sometimes people don't want to wear eye patches, so they just have like one lens is sunglasses and one lens isn't sunglasses.
Yeah. And also you can see the fucking stage lights from the back reflected in the glasses. So
and he has like this lackey who we find out is like his cousin, and at one point like everyone's laughing and the cousin laughs like a little too hard, a little too annoying. So Oscar Isaac pulls out a submachine gun and blows his cousin away.
Yeah.
And then he says to Floyd, that was someone I was related to. Imagine what I'll do to you.
Yeah.
Which would have been a very cool line for this movie if that wasn't stolen wholesale from The Long Goodbye, a much better movie, which Mark Rydell plays a gangster who smashes a Coke bottle on his girlfriend's face and then turns to Elliot Gould and says, that was someone I love, I don't even like you. And it's all like, well, that was done so much better, 40 years ago.
Yeah. So Oscar Isaac just reads Floyd's rap sheet. He says,
his Wikipedia page.
Yeah, so like, hey, we know you're a con artist. We know your real name's Fred or whatever. And we know that you fixed the fucking betting scandal. We know you're like a high school dropout. You're none of the things that you told Samuel.
It is very funny how like this rich industrialist crime boss or whatever also agrees with Floyd that high school basketball
is the shit.
Is the purest form of sport that you can find. Because he also bet on the game and he lost because they fixed the game.
So you got to get the money back from me. I don't care how you get it, but you owe me like $1 million or whatever.
Right.
So
and then Floyd says, how am I going to get that movie? And then Oscar Isaac goes, I don't care. Rob a bank. And that's what Andy Garcia goes on to do. And this is the point where foolishly I thought to myself, oh, this must be where the gold brick comes into it all. Because he's going to a bank. This is obviously what a naive fool I was to assume that there would be a literal gold brick in this movie called Big Gold Brick.
Samuel wants nothing to do with the robbery, so he strong arms his security guard pal as the getaway driver. And Floyd's big plan is to dress up as an old lady with the shittiest mask disguise I have ever seen. It's like, have you seen I Think You Should Leave?
Yes.
You
I know
that
exactly
skit,
what you're talking about.
The prank show skit where like there's too much shit on me.
Yeah. This was a terrible idea. Yes.
I don't want to be around anymore.
This scene comes the closest to almost being funny.
Yeah.
There's enough absurd imagery in it. Like, it's funny because like Andy Garcia puts lipstick on before he puts, because he's dressed like an old lady. He's gonna rob the bank as an old lady,
and he puts on this really tight latex mask that doesn't fit properly, and his beard is coming through.
And his coworker literally says like, "Why are you putting lipstick on if you're just putting the mask on?" And he says, "It gets me into character." It's all like, okay, movie. That's kind of a funny line.
Yeah.
There's nothing to infer that this is something that Floyd would say. We've spent the entire movie with Floyd up until this point, and that's not really like an opinion he would have. But for this one scene, the scene needs him to be like this.
Yeah.
So and then he's trying to get the mask over, and he's getting like short-tempered or whatever. He's all like, "Give it to me!" Yeah. And, like, just the
also,
image of Andy Garcia doing this is funny.
And like the only gun that he has is like this
an antique
little
gun.
Derringer pistol or whatever, and he accidentally shoots the driver with it, and he's like, just like hold it here. Have another beer, relax. I'm gonna go rob the place.
And then he robs the bank as his getaway driver is bleeding out from a gut wound. And he immediately gets caught by the police. And in a weird turn of events, the police decide they don't want to do the paperwork.
So they just rob him.
So they just shoot out his tires. And then he has to get his coworker to a hospital, even though this character clearly would have bled out by this point. But no, he survives.
So now Floyd's in hot water, and the goons are gonna come to kill him. So he has
he's somewhat reserved to his fate.
Yeah, he has a very sweet moment where like, okay, the money that I owe you is upstairs. I'll go get it. What he's really doing is saying his final goodbyes to his kids, which is again weirdly sweet.
It's the closest this movie gets to actually having an emotional moment.
Having a heart, yeah. But after he says his goodbye, he runs out the window.
Because he's a scam artist, and again, there's kind of like a funny thing where Sam is just like having some coffee in the living room, and he slowly turns around, and we just awkwardly see Andy Garcia trying to get down from the balcony down there,
trying to climb up the terrace.
And there's kind of like a funny reaction shot where he gets down, and is like, I'm here now. And he looks in the window, he sees Sam. His eyes get really big for a second, and then he just runs
out of the family.
I do love a good falling over a guardrail
Yeah.
which does happen here. It's a little bit of hot fuzz.
Bit of a pratfall,
I
yeah.
was kind of enjoying this to the degree that I could.
Yeah.
But yeah,
as much as you can. Yeah, so Sam runs after him, saying you can't leave the family. The goons run after him. They run through a park.
It's a big comedy of misunderstandings.
And the goons shoot Floyd in the leg, and just as they're about to kill him, Sam summons his fucking lightning power.
He remembers that he's the mutant.
Yeah.
He remembers that the car accident unleashed his
This is not a curse. This is
ability.
It's great power comes great responsibility.
It's literally Storm.
Yeah.
Well, actually, technically,
not really.
It's literally the powers of Storm and Nightcrawler combined. Is what it is.
Yeah. Which makes total sense.
Absolutely. And it can completely be supported by what this movie has shown us up until this point. Yeah. And he at first I think he has summoned the lightning cloud to zap the bad guys, but no, he zaps Floyd away, and Floyd gets away to an unknown spot, and everyone assumes that Floyd is dead except for Sam, who knows that he's somewhere out there.
Well, I think the movie wants us to forget that the lightning powers teleport, because he brings up the penny again and he has this look on his face like, of course, my lightning strikes don't kill people. They actually teleport people. Maybe Floyd's alive somewhere.
It's like,
of course, yeah. I
didn't
forget that.
No, we know. You made a point of showing that to us earlier, so of course we remember.
Yeah,
that's what you did.
It's the one thing that you set up that you pay off in the movie.
That actually makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes, within the stupid logic of this movie.
This stupid thing is the only thing that pays itself off and that we remember that you set up. So yeah, they show the funeral where Floyd's family's there. The fucking basketball coach.
The basketball coach
who
is there.
hated him is there.
Lentil Beans didn't show up, but the coach who despised him, and I think actually got fired because Lenton through the game, inexplicably shows up, and the co-worker who got shot in the gut also shows up.
Yep.
I don't know, none of this fucking matters.
Oscar Isaac's mansion is destroyed by a meteor.
Which I guess was like hinted at in the dream sequence, like there was like a meteor in that, but like so much has happened since the dream sequence, I've completely forgotten that that's a thing.
Yeah.
It's just all of the goons and Oscar Isaac are just standing in the foyer, of course, naturally eating Uncle Frank's motherfucking frozen custard.
Hey,
Aren't we so fucking pleased with ourselves?
Here's a good little
and they're
visual.
all
Every time someone has the ice cream, something bad happens. That's a nice little running theme in this movie, ain't it?
Hey, you know what? I didn't think about that. You know what? This movie makes sense. You know what?
Yeah.
I like this movie now. You're right. This makes sense.
Yes,
they all get killed by an asteroid. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then Sam goes on to
write the book of his experience.
We find out that Lily went off and is touring the world or whatever.
She just fucked off after the funeral.
Yep. And it's all like,
Jacqueline married her wimpy boyfriend or whatever.
I guess.
Yes.
Sure. Yeah. And then, come to think of it, you know who wasn't at Floyd's funeral? His mistress.
Oh, yeah.
Who he was going to run away with.
Well, it's got to be the family in charge of who gets invited to the funeral. Yeah.
I guess. I don't know.
Whatever.
But, like, and, and then, like, there's
at a book signing, Floyd shows up.
And once again, Emery Cohen completely overacts this fucking scene. This is the moment where he starts going, he stops short literally of going, a ghost! Like, he nearly does, like, the Shaggy where, like, his legs, like, throw up behind him and his hair gets all crazy or whatever.
What?
I swear to God, he stopped short just of doing that. And then during a book reading or whatever, it turns out Lily is backstage, and they run off hand in hand
in a beautiful old Hollywood style ending.
And then storm clouds
rumble in the
background,
distance,
which is all like, well, what does that mean? I thought he was happy. Is this like a thing? What does this mean? Nothing. Nothing means anything.
And that's the movie.
What else didn't we talk about? Probably so much. When he's signing all of the books, like the book is, talk about it like a gold brick. This is a thick fucking book.
Yeah.
And no way did he get enough material out of his month and a half living with Floyd to write a book that size.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, this is a boring ass book.
And if it's chronicling exactly what we just saw in the movie, a lot of people are going to come away from this book thinking this is really meandering and pointless in places. Why did you tell us about Megan Fox trying to seduce you? Is that just something you wanted to brag about? Why did you divulge this half-hearted relationship you had with Lily? She doesn't really do much in the whole grand scheme of things.
Why did you have a page and a half to show that Floyd always carried around a fake cigar filled with cinnamon toothpicks?
Mm.
Why did he offer one to the fucking chauffeur only for the chauffeur to say, "Oh, sorry, I'm allergic"? And I'm all like, why are these scenes in the movie? Why did you include them?
Oh God, Kaz's
This movie,
famous last words.
oh God, this movie.
I always
fucking
knew a
killed
terrible
me.
movie would kill you.
I knew it would be that, but just my fucking blood pressure is going off the roof. Talking about lines that are kind of funny and would have been funnier in a better movie. Floyd asks Sam if he plays table tennis, and then Sam says ping pong, and then Floyd very seriously says, "No, not ping pong, table tennis. Ping pong is like the N-word to us." Like, kind of good,
Okay.
kind of funny. I don't know, like, it
Yeah.
needs a better movie around it for that line to work, but like not bad.
I like when Sam was confronting Floyd about all his lies, and it's like, you're a sociopath, and you're
that was
a
good too.
schizophrenic, and like, whatever, they're both potatoes, and like,
Yeah.
that's a potato joke. That's all right.
Fucking shit! Piece of shit!
When the smoke clears, everybody's lying about something. Everybody.
You're a sociopath.
Yeah, well, I'm not the one hearing voices.
I said sociopath, not schizophrenic.
Whatever. They're both tomatoes.
That's good. I did write that down. That's actually like a decent line. Whatever, they're both tomatoes.
Yeah.
I was like, that's maybe like the smartest line this movie has. I may actually steal that.
Yeah. Yeah, me too.
In like day-to-day conversation,
Yes.
I actually kind of like that. All right.
And whatever, the other line was that I liked was when Oscar Isaac, after he's done his line, and says something that I'm pretty sure was just off the cuff improv. He says, at the end of the scene, he turns to one of his henchmen and goes, "Now where were we? Oh yes." Like,
Yeah.
All
you
right.
know, yeah.
Good on you.
Some of these actors are trying.
Yeah.
So
Someone has to.
someone has to. So first episode of the year, I'm gonna buck with tradition immediately, Jameson. We don't need to ask the question. This movie's a whole lot of nothing.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
This movie sucks. This is terrible. This is just a way. It's also like one of like the longer movies that we've ever watched in this show. It's like 2 hours and a little bit of change.
Yeah.
Rarely do I have to. Normally, I can make it all the way through the movie on a viewing, but this was a movie where I stopped for about 20 minutes and played Switch, and then went back to it. I
You just got to see this through.
I needed a break.
Yeah.
I needed a break at a certain point with this.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I think I said everything I needed to say when I said this movie has no point. You know, like there's no kind of grander message that it's trying to say. There's no interesting ways that it is flowing you through the story. Nothing is a metaphor for anything. It's a waste of time.
I think certain things are a metaphor. I think they're just bad metaphors.
Yeah.
They're just not well thought out.
I don't know. It doesn't seem like this movie has like any grand thing to say about anything in general. And whatever story it is trying to tell, it's not as interesting visually or as trippy or as...
No, it's quite a cheap looking movie.
Yeah, and it's not as funny as it makes itself out to be or as it wants to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If there were just like different people cast, if someone just punched up the humor in this movie, if he brought in more like comedic ringer. The problem is like no one in this movie, he wants to do like a cerebral comedy. He hasn't really cast any funny actors. He's cast actors that are all more or less known for serious roles. And then also Megan Fox.
Yeah.
That's all. He didn't really cast any comedians in this. And he's close, as we all know, he's close personal friends with Kristen Wiig. So it's all like, I don't know, you could have done something. You could have like asked her if she knew any like funny people to fill this in.
Kristen Wiig? I don't know.
And then like, you know, like I'm normally pretty forgiving for a lot of actors. You know, like I
Not as forgiving as me, apparently.
Apparently not, but like, and clearly I guess we like differ a little bit on this, but I cannot get over how terrible Emery Cohen is in it. I think this is just one of the most disastrous leading performances we've ever seen on a movie that we've covered on this podcast. I just think nothing he does works, and I don't know what happened to this guy. He started off as just like this fresh-faced sort of like young buck or whatever, and he's turned to like this weird kind of pudgy character actor who doesn't really fit into any movies anymore. So I don't know. Maybe he'll surprise me.
Maybe it's just the character, because when your character is someone who's losing their mind or has a loose grip on their mental faculties, like you're opening a dangerous door at that point of like whatever you think you're going to do is going to be justified because your character is unstable.
You need someone who's funny, but you also need someone who can play subtle.
Yeah.
And Emery Cohen is neither of those things. But I do like Andy Garcia. Andy Garcia, innocent.
He's fine in this.
He's funny. I like him when he's dressed as the old lady and he's freaking out. It's good. Again, I'm always happy to have a little sprinkling of Garcia on the dish. But that was Big Old Brick, and that
was a big old waste of time.
That was a waste of everyone's time, of our time and yours. And you don't have to watch it now because you heard two dudes talk about it. And
probably for longer than the actual running length of
well,
the movie.
we'll find out.
See.
We'll see. But yeah, we're gonna keep this train going. We're gonna look at some other films from 2022 that
2 others at least.
You've already forgotten about,
or never heard of,
and then we got like a full year of podcasting. We're gonna get some guests in here. We're gonna do some other trilogies.
Yeah,
we had some beers the other night and we talked about who we want to spotlight this year. So it's gonna be exciting going forward.
Yeah,
it's only gonna get better.
Trust us.
We're starting at the bottom with Big Old Brick, and it's only gonna grow from there.
Well, if you want to climb a mountain, you start from the bottom.
That's right. And that's where the gold is, at the bottom of the mountain. It's not at the top. Because gold,
you don't have
is
to
like sound.
You don't have to pile on everything I say.
It's called improv. But that was good. Big Old Brick from 2002, directed by The Sauce.
Written while on the sauce.
Written while on something, yeah, absolutely. But yeah, that was Nothing Movies. If you enjoyed this episode, please listen to our back catalog. You can listen to us on Spotify and on YouTube. And if you listen to us on YouTube, there's a visual element to it. So there'll be all these photos and pictures and clips and sound cues and stuff like
bells
that.
And whistles and doodads.
Oh, it's full of doodads. Yeah, we had to. We got a copyright strike because some of the doodads weren't cleared. But we're working on it. We're back up now. We're on social. We got Instagram. Facebook, Twitter is still a thing inexplicably. What's the new one? Mammoth?
What?
We on Mammoth yet?
What's that?
I don't know. That's like the new Twitter that everyone's getting on.
I'll look into it.
Yeah. Vine.
That's not a thing.
That's not a thing?
No. TikTok's a thing, but we don't want to be on that.
No, we don't really want to be on that. God, can you imagine?
No, I don't want to.
We would get laughed off of TikTok. The youth would just tear us limb from limb. We'd like to thank Joel Flynn and Luke Schuss at Podstream Studios for letting us use their equipment. We'd like to thank Eddie Lamb for his fantastic theme music. And that's it. That's all we're talking about today about Big Old Brick. For Nothing Movies, I'm Kaz Lesgard.
And I'm Jameson. And leave you with these parting words from the movie. Get the fuck out of here, you jagoff.
You know what? Yeah, I agree. You're all jagoffs. Now that we're at the end of the episode,
we can insult our audience.
We can say what we really.
Please come back for more.
You stink. All right, bye. Please come back.